Hello, you just reached MRN Crew Call, presented by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Your patience is appreciated. Our representatives are working hard to bring you the latest news from the hottest crews on the NASCAR circuit. Thank you for holding. You are now being connected to your host, Rocko Williams.
Hey, welcome to the MRN Crew Call, presented by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Well, thank you for joining us today. My lovely co-host right next to me is Mr. Ryan Flores. You know, our typical Sammy Joe is on assignment in London, if you follow her. So we appreciate you filling in her lovely shoes today, Ryan.
Yeah, glad to be here. I heard she's there for her boyfriend's 30th birthday.
If you follow Sammy Joe on Twitter, you know exactly what she's doing, where she's doing it, and why she's doing it right now. So, I mean, yes, I think her boyfriend just turned 30, so she takes him on a trip to London. I mean, where to do that at?
I went to Topgolf. I was hoping. I want to go to London or somewhere like that, but that's cool. Hope she's having fun. Happy to be here to fill in.
I'm not 30 yet, so I mean, I'm just 25. And when I turn 30, maybe I can go somewhere.
Yeah, I hear you.
Somewhere like that.
How many 25-year-old birthdays have you had?
About 20.
That's good.
But anyways, thank you for joining us on MRN Crew Call. I'm so excited to have Ryan here. We're gonna, being that Sammy's not here, we're gonna make this a very technical show. We have so much to talk to you, and it all centers around the pit stops and the evolution of the pit stop. And before we get to that, we want to talk about the Quaker State 400 at Kentucky Motor Speedway. I mean, Kentucky Speedway, you guys finished second.
Yeah.
Your teammate finished third. Of course, we all know the storylines with Truex winning for the fourth time. I mean, how was the race for you this past weekend from your perspective?
We had a great race as a team. We were very excited about our performance at the end of the day. We had stops from 13-2 to 13-6. It was a very, very close best to worst.
13-2.
Yeah, which was good. And when we got back and thought we were going to be, a P1 day, we actually were fourth. And you looked at the guys like the 18 who was able to leap 2 or 3 cars on the last pit stop. We were able to get 2. And the 41 kind of bounced us out, taking 2 tires there on the last stop. But to be able to pit in the top 5 like that with those guys, you really got to bring your A game, especially a track like that where the track position was so big. You saw the 78 get bottled up behind the 2 there and couldn't get back by them when they took 2, and it was just that for I know the race probably wasn't the best to watch, but being on the pit crew side of things over the wall, that was a pretty intense night.
Well, I beg to differ. The race was exciting to watch more because of the pit crew.
Yeah.
And you guys have come such a long way as far as the times of the pit stops have declined. I remember at Daytona, we were doing 15, 16-second stops. You guys, you're talking 13, 14 seconds now. On top of that, I mean, Truex had the first pit stall, but you guys finishing where you did, that's your second top 10, I believe, out of the past 3 races. Is that a victory for you guys as far as finishing second, your teammates finished third? How was it back at the shop when you got back to the shop after that weekend?
Well, we've had a couple weeks of not finishing where we thought we should have, not being as good as what we should have. We lost power steering in Sonoma. We had a good run. We had actually a loose wheel in Chicago that mired us back, and then last week in Daytona we got wrecked. But to be able to cap off a night where we thought we should have finished, well inside the top 5 and end up second. The 78's been so fast. Number 1 pit stall, they were really good on pit road. The 18 car.
Well, that number 1 pit stall is going to make you really good on pit work.
It's huge.
Really good on pit road. Therefore, when you're running top 5, and you can attest to this, it's not about gaining pit stops. When you're running top 5, it's all about just maintaining and not losing pit stops in the top 5.
Yeah.
So I mean, you guys, I feel like you had a good week.
Yeah.
And was that? What did your coaches say?
Happy. Yeah, so they were super stoked that no drama is big. When you can come back and hang your hat up and say we had no issues, which was good, and pretty much all our teams had a pretty good week.
Yep.
Practice was the same as usual. Go to Loudon, get ready for a lot of brake dust and a lot of camber in the wheels and hot tires, but yeah, any week where you can be out of the news,
exactly.
And like you said, running the top 5, you're just trying to gain or maintain. And Joe Piet, when I worked at Storehouse, said it best. He said, "It's hard to win a race on pit road, but it's real easy to lose one there."
Exactly.
So we didn't have any drama. So we'll take that week head forward and keep trying to chip away at it.
Well, we got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about why these stops have become so much faster, what guys are doing, what teams are doing, and what have they figured out. And we'll get into that. We'll dive into that. We have tons of video content to break down while I have Ryan here. And we'll be back after this short break. More from MRN Crew Call.
Grunt style. The American fighting spirit is in everything we make. We are 500 patriots and veterans strong, bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States of America. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We are Grunt Style, and this we'll defend. Get yours at gruntstyle.com.
Join MRN as we travel through the life of NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes back to the Daytona International Speedway, leading the pack.
I won races that I never thought I'd win.
From growing up under the Earnhardt name to super speedway wins to Whiskey River, we dive into everything Dale Jr.
He's Rain Man for NASCAR history.
You know, we weren't the typical family that got to sit down to dinner together.
Tune in to Junior's Journey, available on iTunes for download only on the Motor Racing Network.
The race weekend doesn't have to end with the checkered flag. Carry the action over into Monday with MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Log on to MRN.com and join veteran broadcaster Woody Kane and NASCAR spotter Joey Meyer as they review the race weekend and debate the biggest stories of the week ahead. Plus, some of the biggest names in the sport stop by to talk the latest topics. Make Monday your new favorite weekday with MRN Motorsports Monday at noon Eastern or anytime on demand at MRN.com.
Thank you for calling MRN Crew Call. If you're not 100% satisfied with our product, remember that a little disappointment is good for building character.
All right, we're back. Welcome to MRN Crew Call, presented by Grunt Style, Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Hey, we're up here at the screen. You know when I'm up here at the screen, you know what's about to go down. We're going to talk pit stops, and I'm going to show you the reason why the stops have went from 16 seconds to 14, sub 13s, and I'm sure guys are practicing in the 12s, the high 12s on a weekly basis. And, you know, I'm going to start off first by showing you, if you could play number 3. We're going to do number 3. This is the reason why the stops have went down, and I love the view. This is the 22 car, Joey Logano's, your teammates. And look at this. You're seeing the tire carrier drop off. This is what I call the carrier drop off. The carrier runs out with the jack. Man, he's dropping the tires off at the front, and he's dropping the tires off at the rear. And after he does that, he's indexing the rear and grabbing both tires and bringing back. Penske, they started this first, correct? They were the first ones to do this, and people are a little hesitant at first, but now you're seeing more teams matriculating and starting to gravitate toward this style, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I remember this wintertime when we were working on this, the first time Brian Holland said, hey, let's give this a shot. We all stood there, us all of Trent included, were like, this is ridiculous. We're going to kill somebody. But the stopwatch didn't lie. It was 3/4 of a second faster.
Exactly.
So, you know, you see Dylan run out there. He drops that tire off. What it allows is about a second. It's about a second faster for Thomas to get down and hit his nuts.
Yep.
And then by the time he gets to the rear and hangs tire for Zach, it about times out evenly. Though the biggest problem is, you know, sometimes guys get caught up in the hose back there.
Yep.
But the watch doesn't lie, and it is faster. And
play number 2. We'll show some more because Roush was the first team that I saw who jumped right on board after you guys did. And you can see right here as the front tire carrier, he sets it out. He's doing the exact same thing. And what's hard about this for the tire carrier is he's holding 2 tires in each hand. And not only that, as he sets it down, he's reaching out and extending and setting that tire down with one arm. I don't think people realize how hard that is. Not only that, after he indexes that tire on the rear, he has to hop up, boom, grab that tire, boom, and he's gone, running around to the front. This was a 2-tire stop. If you play number 1, you'll see the 19 car do the exact same thing. The 19 car is coming in, same thing, dropping the tire off, going to the rear. And some carriers are better than others at doing that, whether it's their genetic makeup, whether it's how they practice and their technique or their arm strength. You know, there's different types of carriers, different sizes, different athletic ability. But I call this the beast mode tire carrier because not anybody can just do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, and you watch too, when they drop the tire off, there's a piece of tape that's always straight up. So they have to have their tape read. They can't just drop it there. So it's a pretty precise set. You know, I would put our guy Wade Moore, our tire carrier, up against anybody. He played for the Nationals. He was Bryce Harper's roommate. Big weekend for Bryce Harper there at the Nationals at the Home Run Derby. He played through A-ball with him, and he's a stud. So I'd put him up against anybody, but these guys have really taken on a load of doing this, and at the end of the race, he's worn out, especially if we have a bunch of adjustments.
And like I said, I mean, when you came up with this idea, did you try other things before you went to this, or was this just a no-brainer for you guys? How did you come up with this? Was it just a matter of, hey, let's do this, and we'll see which one works best, or?
Yeah, it's just Trent and Brian and our coaching staff. You know, we have a great coaching staff at Penske, and Trent and Brian really looked at everything.
Okay.
And they tried a lot of different things. We put in a lot of work in December. Once we heard it was going to happen in January, we were ready to go with what we thought was going to be best. You know, those guys are really good with thinking outside the box and thinking about how to get faster and you know, diagnosing video and figuring it all out. So they definitely earn their paycheck on that, and we're just lucky to be able to be the athletes that get to put it to fruition and get to wear the fire suits on Sunday. But those guys did a lot of work.
From a tire carrier's perspective, when you're used to carrying a tire and you're going from now having to jump out with the jack, man, if you could play number 4, I want to show our audience how scary this is. And if you can imagine, look at the 48 coming in. I want you to focus on this guy right here. Focus on this guy, because what he's doing is he has 2 tires in his hand. Look, he's jumping out in front of the car. This is human like Frogger.
Yeah.
You know, this guy has 2 tires in his hand, and he's jumping out off the wall in front of a car, hoping not to trip up. I mean, for a tire carrier, for me, that would be a little scary.
The one thing I do applaud NASCAR on with this rule package is they let the tire carrier that has 2 tires in his hand stand on the ground. They don't have to jump off the wall. So that's one thing that's really good. But another thing that happens quite a bit, and it happened to us last week, Eric Jones was behind us. He missed his pit stall in Daytona on the first set of stops. So Wade actually turned the corner, and Eric Jones was right. He dropped the 1 tire off, looked up, and he was right nose to nose with him.
Wade is?
Yeah, our carrier, Wade Moore. So he was nose to nose right with him and had to check up, go around him, and then hang the right rear, and we never even lost any time. So that position now, having to go around the jackman, you're out way further on the pit road in traffic where you don't really want to be. So yeah, those guys have really had to take on quite a job.
If you could play number 10, I'm going to show you the type of job they have to play. They've taken on. I'm comparing the 19 and the 17 here for the simple fact that the rear carriers have to index this tire. Typically, when they came from the rear, they have time to set up, measure everything up, and stud the tire. When they're dropping tires off, they don't have any time. Therefore, when they have to index this tire, you're going to have to hold that tire and have a clean index. We don't want loose wheels. Loose wheels are so, I mean, you don't want that. No. I want you to watch. Look at the 19. When he indexes, he holds it for the first hit. Not comparing anybody and saying anybody's doing anything wrong, but when the 17 went, watch this, he sticks it, boom, he's gone. So there's a brief period there where that changer right here is hitting lug nuts with no one grabbing that tire. That has the ability to create loose wheels. Would you agree? As a tire changer, do you like that firmness or what?
No doubt. Holding for one, it just helps you. You know, especially with our new guns, they don't seem to draw up that first lug nut quite as well as what we had when we had our own guns that were fine-tuned.
Yep.
So every little bit helps here, especially with trying to walk that fine line and going fast enough to gain spots on pit road and not go too fast where we don't have a loose wheel. But yeah, holding for one and having the discipline to hold for one like that when you have so much other things to do, and they're pretty much doing what we like to call a hero hang, pretty much a blind hang when they get to the right rear. So,
well, hey, those guys are doing a great job. They're making the big money. You know, that's how you make the big money. And speaking of big money, I want to talk to you about a wallet, the Ridge wallet. And this Ridge is minimal, front pocket wallet. It is slim, RFID blocking, and has a lifetime guarantee. It comes in titanium, carbon fiber, aluminum, polycarbonate, and over a dozen different styles and colors. And you can get 10% off of this wallet today with free shipping worldwide by going to ridgewallet.com and using the promo code RACING. And that's what these pit crew members need to hold all that money they're making from doing what they're doing, because that's changed the game, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's changed the game.
It has. They deserve to get paid. They're definitely earning their money.
ridgewallet.com. Use the promo code RACING to get 10% off.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
Time just flies when you're busy, I think.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
And Martin Truex Jr. is a champion.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
You never know if you'll get another chance to do it.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
NASCAR Today Midday is your NASCAR source on and off the racetrack throughout the week.
It's so peaceful to get out in nature and just sit in the woods and watch the deer and birds.
Typically on our runs, there's a lot of conversation for 25 or 30 minutes, and then it gets quiet because you're sucking wind. But on the bike, especially at the racetrack and stuff, they're pretty easy rides.
Keep up with your favorite NASCAR stars each weekday on NASCAR Today Midday, here on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Thank you for holding. Now back to MRN Crew Call with Rocko Williams.
All right, we're back with MRN Crew Call presented by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Thank you, Ryan, for helping me break that down with why the pit stops have gotten faster. Now I want to talk about risk versus reward. And where I'm going with that is, you have a fast car. You're running in the top 10. As a pit crew member, you want to see that car get better. At the same time, with this new format, with the 5-man pit crew, if you're making adjustments on the car, it's a guarantee that you're going to lose at least a second or maybe more. And when you're competing in the top 5 and the top 10 as a crew member, sometimes that gets lost in the translation. All you see on the ticker is, hey, they lost 3 or 4 spots. There's not an asterisk by that saying, oh, they lost 3 or 4 spots, but they did an adjustment, and that just used to piss me off. Is like when they showed us losing spots, we're like, hey, we're adjusting on the car. The cars that pass us, they're just doing 4 tires, right?
Yeah, and Twitter doesn't know about it either because they let you know how bad you suck too.
Well, that's what I want to get into. And I say risk versus reward because to make the car better, you're going to have to turn on the wrench. I mean, you can use air pressure to make the car handle better at the racetrack, but turning on that wrench, either the left or the right side adjustment, I mean, it's going to cost you some time. But let's look at how some of these guys are doing this. If you can play number 6. Number 6, this is the 41 car and how they make their adjustment. So they come out, and what you're going to see is right here. You see the rear tire carrier? He comes out with the wrench. He's not coming around the front like I showed you previously in a previous segment. He's coming around the back. He's setting the wrench, making the adjustment with one hand and tossing it.
Yeah, that's something that as you know, as a carrier from back in the day, that some guys used to be able to do is make that adjustment. If you have a half round like he just had, you can do that before you have to hang the tire. If you have 2 rounds or a round and a half more, you're not getting that done, so you're losing even more time. But yeah, Dwayne does a great job running out there, sticking that wrench, getting the tire hung, but it still costs him time.
Yes, it did.
Because it's going to cost you at least a half a second with setting your tires from stop to first lug nut on the right front.
And that's where size matters. I mean, carriers are different sizes. You might have some who can do the same amount of job, just as well of a job as putting a tire on at 5'9", 5'10". Then you have carriers who are over 6 feet tall, and now that's where the advantage comes with that team, where he's able to have the tire in one hand, set the wrench over the splitter, and do an adjustment and toss it. That's where size matters on that, and they do a good job. They still lost time, but if you play number 7, you'll see the 88. The 88 will do the same thing. And like I say, on when you have an adjustment, you're coming from the rear as a tire carrier. He sets it. This is William Harrell. They call him Rowdy. Pit Crews has a Rowdy as well. Rowdy Harrell. He played at Alabama. He makes the adjustment, one-hands it, throws the wrench. You can't come around the front. They didn't lose a lot of time on this as well. And the front tire changer has to set his own tire. So, I mean, as a front tire changer, carrying that tire out, to the right side is an adjustment for you, right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. It definitely, one of the biggest keys to my game, because I don't really have fast hands, but is reading the car and getting to the car.
Your hands are plenty fast.
Well, where I get an advantage is you can see Scott, the car stopped. He sets, the rear changer and the front changer are almost hitting nuts at the same time.
Exactly.
You should be pretty well ahead. Now, the one place that this does put them behind is you see he gets up, leaves the tire. Now the carrier's got to get the tire. Sometimes you can clean that up a little bit, help your jackman get around a little faster, but they did a really great job executing this stop. And it's a very difficult situation. But you see a lot of the good guys, another thing to look at is a lot of the good teams do these adjustments under green.
Yes.
Because under green, the field's a little bit more strung out. You can give up a second or a couple tenths. When it's a caution stop and you guys all come down, nose to tail.
I don't want an adjustment.
You don't
stop.
want,
And you're praying to your crew chief when they're coming down on a green flag stop, please, no adjustment. please no adjusters. You know,
Yeah.
our pride is on the line too. We want to get that car out fast, you know, as you can relate, and you don't want to do adjustment stop. As we play number 8, you'll see the 42, I believe, they're doing theirs. And the 42, they come out. I want to show how the rear tire changer, I paused it right there just to show you that he sets his own tire. But notice this is the difference here. The carrier did not make the adjustment before he indexed the tire. He indexed the tire, then stood up and made the adjustment then. You know, and like I say, Phil Foster is a shorter tire carrier, baller, I might say, but he's about 5'8", 5'9", strictly beast. But watch, he sets the wrench, indexes, and after he indexes, then he goes up and makes the adjustment. And that seemed like about a round down anyway, so maybe the cutoff for them, and I don't know this, is half a round, do it before, or maybe anything above, do it after, or maybe he's just not tall enough to get it with one hand and feel comfortable in indexing it. What do you think?
Yeah, I just think it's you know, it's team dependent. You know, it's
personnel.
your personnel dependent for sure. And you know, these guys do this stop every stop.
Yep.
Stephen Price, Cooter, brings his tire out every stop. They have not switched to the drop-off stop yet. But that's just, it's such a difference. But my funny part is here, Cooter, when he's tiptoeing around the car. You play tiptoeing in my Jordans there. It's pretty funny. And another thing you see is these jackmen going in front of these guys. That's just,
that is another added dimension.
The choreography is so crazy to me, how much, really, your gas man can only gas. So these 4 guys are doing everything all race long. If you need any adjustments, these 4 guys are your guys that are doing it. And just the amount of work that's getting done in a race by these 4 core guys is just crazy.
And you brought up a good point with the jackman going in front to behind. We brought that up earlier in the year on our show and the difference that makes. And you had some guys resist that. Some teams resist that. They were set in their ways, hey, we can do it just fine. Our jackmen are beasts. We can go around or whatever. Some changers didn't like the way it felt being late.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, the left front's very challenging. The left front is a hard. It's hard to hit it anyway because the camber's facing at you, so you have to hit up at it. And when it's going, when the jack is going up as you're hitting, it's a little bit more challenging. One, because we haven't done it. We've always been used to the right front going up and down when we're hitting lug nuts. But yeah, just that feeling of being behind. Some guys don't do great when they're rushing. We have not changed the 12 team. We're one of the last. Penske's one of the last organizations that hasn't changed to the jackman going in front of the changer. I know. For me, Graham Stoddard, if he goes in front of me, I am not getting all lug nuts on the left front because he is letting that thing go. He's so fast with getting the left rear. We're finishing at the same time as it is. So I would do it if it's best for the team, and these guys are figuring out what's best for them. And it's just so cool to see the difference in each team and how they approach it, where it's been the same thing for so many years. Now it's really pretty cool.
That's just how they do it. I want to see. Did I show the 41? Show number 6. Did I do the 41? I believe we did the 41. So yes, let's go to the 8, number 9. Number 9. I want to show you number 9. This is what impresses me. We're doing a left side adjustment for the rear carrier to be going out to the right side, set the wrench with his offhand on the left side of the car. For the jackman to make the adjustment. I was really impressed when I saw this. And I just feel like that was an awesome move. And that's where height comes into play. You know, to be able to do that, that's Josh Sobecki. His name is Josh Sobecki. And to be able to set that wrench on the way out to the right side, behind the gas man, with that offhand, with the tire in the hand, extremely impressive. I give kudos to Josh because I like that. I mean, I didn't think about that before because normally we set the wrench right here. The changer goes around and sets it. What do you think about that?
The other thing that's crazy to me, too, is you got to think about how much is going on. So Sobecki's getting both tires. He brings them back, right? He brings both tires back, puts the left front on, then he's going to go and drop the jack. He's got to remember to do this. Then their jackman, he's going to stick the tire and make the adjustment. You know as well as I do, this is all muscle memory. You're not thinking much. And you got to think about, all right, from the time you stick that tire, you're thinking about going and dropping the jack. No, you got to get up, make the adjustment. And we've seen, I think the 31 team last week or this week, they let the wrench go down pit road. It's hard to remember all that stuff, and man, it's just so important to execute that stop and to do those things, especially Sobecki, where you used to stick in the left front and then cleaning the grill. I mean, that's just years and years of training yourself to do that. Now you got to stick it, get up, and rip the jack. And make. I had to rip the jack at the All-Star race this year because we were adding tape as well, and it's like, if you drop the jack too early on the rear changer, he could be missing a finger by the end of that stop. So it's a really important job.
Like I said, so much to talk about here on MRN Crew Call. So stay tuned. We're going to take another break. Going to be right back. I have some insider knowledge I'm going to show you, and I'm going to use your help to kind of expose some stuff as well.
Awesome.
We'll be right back.
live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Austin Dillon leads the pack. No one ever thought he would contend for the win. He's going to win the 60th running of the Daytona 500.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
The 1993 Cup Series season had more than its fair share of twists and turns.
Checkered flag's waving. I look in my mirror, and here's Earnhardt right on my tail, and he goes down low to pass me. And I said, oh, no, you don't.
As Wallace spins, Wallace's car goes on its nose.
Here's stories that you've never heard before in a 10-part series called The 1993 Season, 25 years later.
And Davey was behind me, and we came off the corner, and there's a guy standing in the middle of the racetrack.
You can download it for free on iTunes and at MRN.com right now.
Hi, I'm Rob Tanner, inviting you to the all-new America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. The sound is updated with fresh features and more of the voices you hear at the racetrack each week. The one thing that hasn't changed, it's 2 hours of the hottest hits in country music as we get you ready to go racing. So join us for the brand new edition of America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA, at the same place right here on the Motor Racing Network.
Thank you for listening to our program. If you like what you hear, tell your friends. If you don't, tell them we're the Straight Line. You're being transferred back with Rocko Williams.
We're back with MRN Crew Call presented by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Thank you for joining us. And I want to close out. I mean, we've been pumping out some information here. You know, I'm trying to showcase us pit crew members. Hey, you guys are the wild card. You know, the dialogue and the storylines all this week has been how can we bring excitement to the race, break up the mundane schedule, you know, go in dirt race. And first of all, you know, I get it. What we need to do is just highlight on the awesome job you guys are doing on pit road.
Yeah, there's a lot of content down there. And I mean, obviously we're a little biased because we're pit crew guys, but I feel like they miss a pretty good narrative of all the things that are going on.
We should be biased. You know, we make or break the race. We're the most exciting part of the race. That's all I got to say about it. And speaking of which, that comes a lot of responsibility. The responsibility is, hey, you're under the spotlight. You have to do fast pit stops. But there are little secrets to that. You have to be in control at the same time. Control chaos is how I like to describe it. You got to go fast, but at the same time, you have to have that control. You have to have that precision and accuracy, right?
Oh, no doubt. You gotta execute when the time comes, and you have to, like you said, you have to be in complete control of your body and know the situation and get the job done.
And I bring that up because I want to talk about the jackmen, as to say. You have a lot of carriers who are learning how to jack. You have jackmen who are learning how to carry. And when you have four men doing the stop now, you have to be very controlled and precise. When they're jacking up these cars, these jacks are tricked out. I know that. Oh, yeah. I know they're not your typical Brun hosel or your pit boss like you had before. They're being made in-house. They're tricked out. They have fancy springs on them. And when you're jacking that car, the worst thing you can have happen is the car fall down. The handle gets loose, or it not go up, correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you see a lot of these teams have jacks that they're building themselves.
Exactly.
They're pretty impressive pieces of machinery.
I want to show you something. I want to play a number 11 and just look at this, and then after the video goes off, I want you to give me your thoughts on what you see. See, here we go. Chris Conklin. I call him three-stroke jackman. Why do I call him three-stroke jackman? Because look at the handle. On each of these videos, watch this handle. Look at the handle. Whoa. Is that control or is that erratic? Is that fast? Look at the handle. Just focus on these handles of all these jackmen that are going. Kyle Tudor, two-stroker. TJ Ford, two-stroke. You see how the handle is just goes down, comes up. Look how much control is involved there. I love to see that if I was a pit crew coach. I like to see, look at your guy. Yeah. Look at your guy, Graham Stoddard. You know, controlled. I would say 3 strokes, you know. If that handle is moving 3 or less, that's where I want to live at, you know. Yeah. Look at Graham right there, another Graham, two-stroker. Look at Jonathan Wheeler. I think he just got moved to that car this week. You know, he's a two-stroker. Ernie Pierce, my boy Ernie. Big Ern. Big Ern, big. Look at Sean Cotton. Nice and controlled movement. That's what I want to see. And I'm not singling anybody out because just because his handle is moving like that doesn't mean anything is going to happen.
Lineback's got quite the spring on his.
That's Lineback. And Dustin Lineback might be the best tire carrier on pit road, one of the best, and he's going to be getting paid a lot of money soon, you know? So long story short, just because I'm labeling him as an 8-stroker jackman doesn't mean he's a bad jackman at all. What I'm showing you is a tire carrier who has adapted and learned how to jack and is so focused on going fast. The jack handle's not an issue to him, right?
Yeah, and that's one thing that a couple years ago, like I worked with Chris Conklin, who's on the 22 now, and a big thing was coming down that jack, and then when he was going to pull the right rear, so you were going this way, he would just keep a right hand on that jack handle and make sure it comes up, especially with what we used to call it 2 tires to the front, where you'd pull the tire and send it to the front.
But wouldn't that make you slow now with this concept of 5-man?
Yes.
You know, wouldn't that play with these guys' head where if I baby this handle up, it's going to slow me down?
Correct. Yeah, the mechanics are so much different that you don't have time. You're jacking that car and then you're stepping the other way.
Look,
so you're letting that thing go.
I believe you can do it. You know, I really feel like you can handle that, you know, manipulate that handle, baby it up, stay within the fundamentals that you're being taught, and that jack handle won't be so erratic. I believe that can be done. You know, trying to convince these athletes to do that now, that's a whole nother story, because when you got to go, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you experience the same thing with your guys. And
I'm thankful Graham is our jackman now, and he was a carrier for his whole career. And I'm just thankful that he had a stud of a guy named Ray Gallahan, you know Ray, to train him. And Ray and Braxton and Chris have all had a hand in developing our jack at Penske. And you know, I really think they bring a great piece to the racetrack every week, and they do a great job. So I'm excited to get the Loudon.
And look, I'm going to appreciate you. I appreciate you being on the show today. I feel like we broke down some pit stops, and you know, we did our guys justice this week, you know, on the show. You know, great analysts. I appreciate you filling in for Sammy Joe. And I also just want to remind you and all our viewers, thank you for tuning in. And also make sure that you watch tonight's broadcast, MRN's coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series at El Dorado Dirt Derby from El Dorado Speedway. It begins at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight on MRN.com. Make sure you tune in and watch.